right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Vishal and Company. Today, we're going to be talking about the global chip shortage and auto inflation. We're going to be covering all things crypto, including NFTs, surging demand, and Ethereum. And last but never least, Galen's going to provide us an update on our favorite man at Equity Guru, Elon Musk. We have a lot to go over, so we'll just jump right into it, and I'll pass it off to Vishal.
Thanks, Maddie. So market-wise, it's actually been a bit of a dull week here before Labor Day, but when September begins, we're hoping that normal volatility and liquidity comes back to the markets. Summertime is usually seen as a bit dull, but September is when everyone's back doing their thing. So we're hoping that these trends continue starting next week. But this week, I mean, markets were really just ranging here. You can see here that was the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones. Look at that long range there, really doing nothing. Story this week is cryptos, but just before we go there, I want to mention the whole.
We have disappointing job figures this
Exactly, yeah. So that's where I was just about to mention that.
There you go. Sorry.
So it's all about the taper tantrum. That's what everyone's talking about. Since the last time we've talked, the Fed's been saying, hey, look, the economy is improving and we will taper sometime soon. Basically, what tapering means is right now the Fed is printing $120 billion per month, using it to buy bonds and also to buy mortgage-backed securities to keep interest rates low and to, I guess, prevent another mortgage crisis. And they want to taper, which means they want to, reduce the amount of bonds they purchase. A lot of people following markets believe that the only reason this is happening, where markets keep making highs, is because, the Fed will not allow it to decline. They're printing more cheap money, buying up assets, bonds specifically, keeping interest rates, depressed. So you have to be in stocks to make yield. Last week, we heard Powell mention, he didn't mention it. He didn't actually say anything. But at Jackson Hole, everyone was expecting, and when I mean everyone, I mean the markets, traders, investors, they were expecting Powell to give, some sort of taper timeline. That's what they're calling it. They wanted him to say, hey, look, by October, we'll start be tapering, and by December, we'll have reduced our purchases. We didn't really get that.
I don't think we'll see a taper even up until the end of the year.
Yep, and that probability has increased because of this, because of the jobs number, and everyone was looking to this because they said, okay, you know what, Powell did mention that the economy is not really where they want it to be, and they're looking at employment. Everyone thought, okay, let's look at today's NFP data, and folks, this is actually a very big miss. I mean, this is even the pundits on CNBC were a bit shocked. We've never had anything like this, like a huge miss like that, where we were expecting 720,000 jobs to be added, but only 235,000 positions were added. So a lot of people are like, oh, like, what the hell just happened here?
Well, we've also got like a complete lack of confidence in the economy from several different aspects, from the manufacturing sector, the PMI index, all of it is down.
Exactly.
Now, whether this is just a feeling, are we seeing hard numbers to reflect that?
Yeah, I mean,
obviously
I think
the job numbers seem to be reflecting that, but in manufacturing, are we seeing a dip in numbers as well?
Well, they've been saying manufacturing's actually been increasing, but there's a bit of a conundrum there because it's still largely about inflation. A lot of these manufacturers can't really get things to. I mean, they're getting things. There's a shortage, but if they get it, they have to increase or mark up the prices because it's much more expensive, to produce. And we talked about this, the whole idea of transitory and temporary inflation. Not really something the Fed talks about now because it seems they were wrong about that. And it looks like inflation is probably not going to be, it's not going to be high inflation for a short amount of time. I think inflation is going to be strong going forward there. But the most important thing about this data is essentially now the market is pricing in no more tapering, right? Or very, it's likely they're not going to taper because this is not really data that you could say, hey, the economy is improving. We can now reduce our balance sheet and all that kind of stuff. So just want to keep you guys updated on that. It's still buy the dip mode in the markets until the Fed literally tapers, and we'll see what the market will do when that happens. The taper tantrum, where people are saying, "Oh, okay, the cheap money now is over, the party's over," and that would be might be an epic fall, right, when that happens.
There's too many things going on right now, like you were saying with the COVID continuing,
Yeah.
lockdowns in limited amounts probably going to be coming back. Chip shortages that we're experiencing right now, eliminating the building of new vehicles.
Should we do that first before we do cryptos?
Cars going up.
Yep.
Oh yeah, no,
Yep.
definitely. We'll do that in a few seconds. It just, this is really fascinating in the sense that it's really impacted all the way down the line, and what people have said that's going to just sort of go away is not.
Nope.
It's here to stay, and that in itself will also impact the economy in negative ways.
So Galen, I remember
could see another stock market pit.
Galen, I remember me and you were laughing a few months ago about, when we were looking at the inflation data, the highest numbers were in used car sales, right? That was apparently the most inflationary thing that people were spending money on. With chip sales now, there's apparently a chip shortage. Ford saying their sales have declined. GM is now significantly cutting their production. I think that number about the inflation number on used cars is probably still going to be higher, which means, as you just alluded to, inflation is not going anywhere.
No.
The thing about the chip shortage is that you don't necessarily see it in crypto. Like there are companies who were still like overinflating their build out by like 300 new ASIC machines. 300,000 new ASIC machines loading out to take advantage of the diasporas, the hash rate changes, which means that you see it in some industries more than you see it in others.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm curious what the catalyst is for that.
Are we talking about the same chips though? Are they the same semiconductors?
Yes, actually we are.
Okay.
I had a little moment where I thought that we weren't, but I went online to verify that we are actually talking about the same variety of chips. Yes.
Semiconductor chip shortage. Interesting. Maybe the miners are outbidding the vehicle producers for the chips that are left. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking.
You never know. That's the other thing, right? Is who's going to have access is going to win the day, and that's going to be a very interesting fight, because you've got, as you said, auto manufacturers, you have computer manufacturers, you have bit miners or Bitcoin miners. There's going to be a lot of fighting going on.
Right.
Will that also drive the inflation? Will that
chips
to go through the roof?
Thing is, it's actually not just Bitcoin miners. It's not the ASICs specifically. It's all three of the different types. It's the CPUs, it's the GPUs. It's all the various semiconductor components that go into the design. I'm not particularly a computer type, but I understand that you need all these three different ones to mine these various different coins. So I mean, like we see Ethereum bumping up considerably, and I mean, it's a mix of the NFTs, which we'll talk about later. But there's also a fair amount of correlation with Bitcoin's bounce as of late. I mean, we're not seeing the effects of the chip shortage, is what I'm saying.
Okay, I was just about to ask you. So you don't think this price has anything to do with the chip shortage, perhaps?
No, I actually don't.
I agree too. I mean, I didn't really. I never really think of semiconductor chips when I think about.
Well, I know that you feel that it doesn't, but I mean, in a sense, if we're looking at a case where the hash rate is dropping and none of these things are able to be built, then value then is automatically instilled because you're creating scarcity, right?
Except the hash rate is not dropping; it's actually rebounding from the China diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sure, the rebounding, but has it actually reached the point where it's completely replaced? I don't think it has.
No, but we haven't actually seen. They're not at full 100% replacement yet.
Well, that's my point, right?
We've got good sized miners going up in Pennsylvania, Texas, Kazakhstan, but we haven't seen a widespread 65%, 75% replacement yet. Like not everyone's landed.
So scarcity. Correct?
Yeah.
Potential scarcity, I suppose. That's a point.
Well, I mean, yeah, Ethereum touched 4K today. Bitcoin here is now back above 50K. I think, like, technically, this is a pretty important break because Bitcoin's really been doing nothing for about 2 weeks here. And I mean, Ethereum just took off ever since this double bottom here at 2,400. And a lot of talk about, people using it to buy NFTs and decentralized finance. I want to show you a chart.
Now, is that functional DeFi
Hold on
right
this.
now?
A functional DeFi?
Yeah. Is it all? It's like, is it still pie in the sky? We're going to build this. They will come, or do they actually have functional DeFi networks where people are actually getting funded?
There are decentralized exchanges which are making decent money, and they are receiving. I don't know. They're actually receiving solid backing from okay, it's in the early stages right now.
Yeah.
But there are decentralized exchanges, especially the big ones like Uniswap and PancakeSwap, which are actually starting to get external money put into them.
Okay, no. The exchange is fine. That's a separate entity. And as far as I'm trying to piece it apart, is the idea of decentralized finance means that you and I can lend money to each other without having a bank in between us. Are those networks taking place? Because that's the functional end of it, rather than us just going, hey, we can do this.
Through decentralized exchanges. Decentralized exchanges are huge.
So people are loaning each other money, that kind of stuff. That's happening right now.
As far as I understand.
Yeah, you go here to Unisol Protocol, which is where you swap, earn, and build DeFi. 386 billion trade volume so far, 1.5 million users, 60 million trades. Things are happening here. I've just sort of
I'm just
launched.
confused. This is talking about trades. I'm talking about the actual loans taking place where you can get money and use it and then return it.
Yeah. So I think that's you can do that when you're staking early projects, I believe. Different tokens or different projects have different things. There is something like that though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain to me, because I'm an idiot. Then you produce a coin, or you say I need a coin to make your business work, and people buy that coin in order to give you money to do your work. Is that correct?
I believe that's how the staking is when you sign up for a project earlier on. Think of it sort of like, what's that called? Angel investing, I guess, in a sense.
Well, generally, what I've heard of is you can
have a business. I walk into this exchange place and I write that I've got the Galen coin. Anybody can buy it for $1.50, and let's make this happen. And somebody's going to fund. Well, not that anybody would, but somebody has the possibility of funding me to do whatever I wanted to do, and I walk away with cash, not with coins, with money.
That is the nature of an initial coin offering, yes, of an ICO. That happened for a long time.
I actually have to do an ICO. I can't just go in like Joe Schmo and get a loan. Because this
you're probably going to
decentralized finance was supposed to be about.
That is what it is eventually supposed to be about. Yes, it's not there yet.
So it's not there yet. Okay,
early
that's
stages.
what I needed to say. All right, so people are still making coins and selling each other coins. They're not actually going out and saying, "I got a business. I've got a shake shop that I want to fund.
Right.
I need $50,000 or $50,000 to open another store. Can somebody give me some money?" Nobody's done that yet. Correct?
As far as I understand, no. There's no one who's done that yet. No.
Okay.
I want to show you guys something crazy though, but this is the NFT Marketplace. I think you guys remember when we were chatting about NFTs and how crazy prices were.
It's stupid.
That was nothing compared to where we're at now.
It's fucking dumb. Sorry.
I'll show you this. So if you guys go here, OpenSea, maybe while you guys are chatting, I'll show you how much some of these things are going for. So these are all NFTs right now. Look at this, 29 Ethereum. So let's see how much this is. Someone's bidding 83,000.
Why did you get that?
Someone here is bidding $83,000 American for this determined dolphin NFT. You can see here, these are the bids.
Do that.
Don't get that.
People were bidding up prices.
Market. I'm sorry, the NFT thing, I can understand it for real artists, but this is ridiculous. I can
Yeah,
make that on my computer.
As an investment, like what? Because I know the idea. It's like a playing card or something.
Yep.
But what, like, is that dolphin or whale or whatever, like, going to get that person?
I think they're just flipping it. They're just flipping it. They hope that the project gets some sort of popularity. It's not investing, it's speculation.
Like the mortgages that we used to speculate on. This is no different. Like you can still display this thing anywhere in the world. The only thing that determines it's yours is some back end code. It doesn't prevent other people from looking at it or from putting it on their wall. It's just that you can say, "Hey, I own it." The only
Look at
thing
this
that
one,
I can
guys.
see
It's
that
going
this actually
for,
works for is
it's bidding
artists.
right now for $396,000.
That's
What?
fucking ridiculous.
Sad
That
Girls
looks like
Galaxy.
something that a high school person did. Now, and no
What?
offense against high school
Oh,
people.
yo, this is double
Why?
that. This is almost going for
Why?
$1,990,000.
Who's going to pay that?
Well, people that
No
are
offers yet,
ridiculous, and
though.
again,
No
what we
offers
spoke
yet.
about,
Okay.
it's the same
Oh,
people
never
that
mind.
got
Okay.
into the whole housing market before 2009 or 2007 to try and flip the house. This is basically the same thing. There's no ownership taking place here. This is all speculation and gambling, which proves that it's a false market. I can see how NFTs would work for real artists, and this is how it would work. You would NFT a physical object, and any time that it is sold, it would have to go through this Bitcoin
Mhm.
sales procedure, and it would ensure that the original artist would get paid rather
Right.
than the other people just again, paying $50 to the original artist and then flipping it for $1 million to their at the local art auction, right? And the artist seeing none of that, because that's basically what happens
Ooh.
right now. You get the first sale, you probably sell it to a gallery. They'll give you relatively good money, but then they turn around and sell it to the rich guy down the street, and nobody gets money from it except them.
The thing
Galen,
is,
would
the
you?
technology has viable use value.
Yeah.
And the use value is not necessarily from the image that you're projecting, but
Yeah.
the fact that you can actually divide ownership of a real substantial physical object up to like a million different ways.
No,
Like
absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
think about what this means for real estate. Like you could have 10 people go in on a townhouse, each putting in 10%, and each have a 10% stake in ownership. I mean, that is potentially revolutionary because you normally can't divide up a house like that.
Yeah. Galen, take a look at this, guys. This someone's
sign a
wants.
contract and do that. Yes, you can. That's not. It's the NFT doesn't provide anything different other than locking it in digitally.
Someone here wants $15 million, $15.8 million for this cat, and someone's offered him 122 bucks.
$0.8 million.
That's just ridiculous. I've got a neighbor who's making a living off of selling NFTs, and
NFTs.
quite honestly,
No,
he's a talented individual, but
How do
Oh
you
my lord, 100,000 Ethereum? $396 million for, well, someone wants that for this cat, Hot Wheels.
yeah,
Oh my god.
an incredibly speculative market,
What is going
which
on?
means it's completely false. And if that's what Ethereum is basing its run on, we're in trouble.
So I just want to mention this. So Visa, like, just as Joseph was mentioning, the tech's going to be here, right? It's going to likely be used for real estate, as he was mentioning.
Yep.
Digitize real assets, and it makes the whole process easier rather than going to City Hall or permits and stuff. But Visa is jumping in. They bought a CryptoPunk for 150K, but they said it's not necessarily because they think it's going to go up in value or anything. They just want to jump in because they think NFTs will play an important role in the future of retail, social media, entertainment, and commerce. And to help our clients and partners participate, we need a first-hand understanding of the infrastructure requirements for a global brand to purchase, store, and leverage an NFT. And they believe that CryptoPunks is the cultural icon for the crypto community, and they are jumping in feet first. And this is the beginning of our work in this space. And I know, Joseph, you mentioned this in previous shows, right? Like, obviously, what's going on right now with this is crazy, but the technology actually does have value, and it's likely when we're on our digital currencies, everything is going to be digitalized, including all these assets here. And I've heard even medical records, right, could be put up on the blockchain as well.
Well, this does present a use case, very definitely. This isn't the use case.
No, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
For instance, there's a production in the States, if I'm not incorrect, Seth MacFarlane's involved in it, Mila Kunis is involved in it. It's called Stoner Cats. And I think it's all done through the NFT ownership. People chip into the project and they own it and get to see it. Now, this is sort of like an idea that I was pushing a long time ago in a Kickstarter aspect where you would get on and say, and people are doing it, but they aren't necessarily talking about ownership of the project itself or the movie itself. They're talking about sending you T-shirts and coffee
Right.
mugs and you know, special photographs and stuff. Where I thought that, you know, if you went and said, you give me $12.95, you get a digital copy of the film when it's done. Yours. Right? You own part of this movie. And and at that point, there was no way to do a chain of title, as Joseph was talking about, with splitting the house
Right.
in a million ways. But with the NFTs, it does provide that you're not just, again, owning a copy of the film. You now own a part of the film, and anytime it's sold down the way, you too can make a little money off of whatever the entertainment industry, you know, deems as valuable for that product. So that does offer a thing. And then, sorry, Joseph, like, what the hell? Like, this is stuff that came out with Nintendo 64. I mean, come on.
I don't know what you apologized to me for. I actually find this to be kind of garbage. I really do. I think if anything blockchain related is digital tulip mania, this is it.
This is it.
What do you think, Matt? Are you going to run out and buy a couple NFTs?
I find this so confusing. What are we speculating on? Like, what are we speculating? That the artist is going to blow up, or that people will want these?
Yeah. You're speculating that people are going to say, "Hey, Cunning Fox is such a crazy, you know, artist, and maybe there's some real case value to it. Maybe you can use these in a video game or something. I don't know." Yeah, you're just expecting that. It's really social media, right? I know a lot of people are basically giving influencers free NFTs for them to post. So then, obviously, you know, if they create demand or create a fame for that project, people will go and buy, and that will, you know, create a bid, right? So yeah, it's pure speculation, and you're just bidding that this project out of, I guess there's maybe millions now, man. Well, hundreds of thousands at least will be popular and will be trending. That's pretty much it.
That's the thing, right? I mean, they're millions, so it's like, I don't know.
No, I mean, there's one guy.
I have an artist actually work at it, and I'll buy a 2-foot by 3-foot piece rather than something that's just, you know, an inch by inch, and that I can't even put on my wall. I mean, come on. Sorry. That's the old guy in me. I'm going to hike my pants up around my shoulders and start yelling at the kids.
People really old, because I just don't get it.
This is what happens when there's nowhere to go for yield. When real estate's expensive, bonds are expensive.
That's very true. The speculative nature of the marketplace really does indicate that there's no solid economics behind it. And it was very true before the crash of the markets in 1929. That was what drove it, and everybody thought it was still going great and absolutely insane. Pre-2007, same concept. Speculation precedes disaster. So take that home and think about it.
Speaking about disasters, Ellen, did you want
to transition?
Well, yeah, you know, the guy's crazy. Just, you know, let's make a robot based on AI that crashes cars and emergency vehicles. Or did we go that route? Is that where you want me to head?
What was yours, man?
Well, I don't know if you want that. Elon Musk. And then recently, thankfully, somebody else has been writing in the popular media in regards to just how much of a sham this guy is. Zero Hedge produced an article saying that he's all fluff and no substance, and he really is. The man is a power mad carnival marker. It doesn't. Everything he does, he says this.
What is that? What is that?
It's an AI robot that apparently.
Yeah. It's a person in a suit, for God's sakes. Like, what did he attempt to accomplish with this? All he has is this picture. That's basically why he's putting this on the stage, is because all he has is that. Now, if anybody's familiar with AI may be machine thinking and learning, but it's all based on very specific pre-written rules. There are no freewheeling thought, as just shown by this little dance that was done there. Nothing even close to that. No interaction, and no doing the manual tasks for you. Basically,
dude, it
what
can't.
Musk has done is because he's boffed up the Cybertruck production dates and he's boffed up the tabless batteries, everything he keeps putting it just beyond the horizon of believability. Going, in 10 years, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So he can get another $1 billion or so from suckers that think he's actually going to follow through. And in 10 years, if he ever make it to that, he's going to go, well, you know, I make these overestimations all the time. The guy said we have 1 million robo-taxis by 2021.
Yeah.
He also said that COVID would be gone in March of last year. The guy doesn't know shit. I'm really sorry about this, and I can understand how people have fallen for it because they want a clean environment savior. He is not the man. He is a patent troll with too much money on his hands.
Well, what do you think about the statement that these Tesla robots apparently can deadlift 150 pounds? I just saw that. Apparently, these robots are going to be ready to be sold by next year.
He says that shit all the time, and I would want to see this robot deadlifting 150 pounds.
What is the purpose of these robots? Why do we need robots now?
Apparently,
well, he said it's going
to tasks for us, which, in a sense, if that actually occurs, will displace a large portion of the labor workforce. Thanks, Elon.
That's
dick.
hugely problematic, is it not?
Yeah.
That's hugely problematic. Yes.
Essentially, the future physical work will be a choice.
Coming out with these things. He also said he's going to power Texas with the same power facility that was on fire for 4 days in Australia before it could be contained. And you can't use normal ways of putting it out. You kind of let it have to burn out. He keeps saying stuff, and nobody's ever checking this guy. He's absolutely ridiculous. He's no better than Bezos. He's no better than Zuckerberg. These guys really need their wings clipped. AI is a harder thing than he's ever had to deal with before. And as I said, the present AI that he uses crashes cars into emergency vehicles. If he intends to make a free-thinking thing that can do that, that's at least 50 years down the road, if ever.
This is ridiculous looking.
Oh, you should have seen like Twitter when this came out. People were
they absolutely just ripping it apart?
It was fun. It was fun. It was just like, I mean, people weren't thinking, people were like, is this actually real life? Like, what's going on? A Tesla conference to talk about, people were assuming the Cybertruck or auto sales, and he brings this thing up on stage.
Totally. I have got really good news for you, so I'm going to just misdirect you. It's kind of like Matt Gaetz running off to California to get married. It's basically the same thing, just bullshit and baffle gab.
Wow. Okay. Well, we are coming to the end of our time. Do we have any final comments, thoughts, concerns?
Well, let's ask Joseph here, man. What do you think crypto is going to do over the weekend here? You think this movement needs a bit of a pullback, or?
To be completely honest, it's really hard to tell. I mean, I want to see if any more. I want to see if any of the other Chinese miners start landing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see where they land, and like you see, the overall price of Bitcoin and such is not really my number one concern, as a lot of my past articles have come out with. What I want to know is where they're sourcing their electricity from. What source? Because I mean, like it's 47 degrees up in Layton, BC, and part of that is because of Bitcoin. And as the hash rate increases, I want these companies, when they do land in the appropriate places, to start picking up renewable energy sources like hydroelectricity. Now, is that necessarily going to happen over the weekend? No, but maybe in the next couple of weeks, we'll start seeing where they land, how it works out for them.
Awesome. Alrighty, I am going to close us out with that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Yeah.